You hear me, Jacob?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I had my headphones plugged in.
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting the live stream started.
Okay.
We get the open session and then.
And then what a closed session?
Hear me, Jacob? I'll put up a. Okay, I had my headphones plugged in.
Oh, okay. Are you hearing an echo?
It's because I have the live stream going.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey. Okay, we're live, right?
Yeah, we are live.
Nobody else is trying to log in, Nicole?
No.
No.
I'm wondering if they're logging on to the closed session.
Possible.
Usually they're pretty good about that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of people here. Let me
Okay.
let them in.
There's Sarah. Hey. Is Tim joining us today, Melissa?
I believe so. He just texted that he's having problems logging in.
Okay. Let me reach out to Neil to see and Nella to see if they're coming on.
They both accepted the invite
Okay.
now. I have Neil is joining right now.
Okay. Let me just check in with Ella really quick.
Okay.
We'll get started.
Tim says he's working on some internet issues. He's at home and he's going to try something else. And that if we want to go ahead and open the meeting and then move over into closed, he can join us over there, hopefully. If not, he can call me and we'll do that thing.
Okay, sounds good. And I just called Ella and she's not picking up, so we'll just kind of get started and see if she joins this. Okay. So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. And we're going to start off with roll call. Ms. Ariano is not here yet. Mr. Patel.
Present.
Okay. And then I'm here present. Sandoval. Mr. Andrew Sandoval.
Present?
Okay. Ms. Sarah Turner.
Present.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda unless there's anything else, Melissa, that was going to get added today? No? Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Sarah motions. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, Mr. Andrew Sandoval seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Aye.
Aye.
Andrew? Okay. Okay, motion passes 4-0. Now can I get a motion to adjourn? Actually, you know what? Let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then that way we'll go from there. Can everybody rise, please? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for justice and all. Okay, Tim's joining us. I'll let you, Tim, kind of. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So motion.
Okay. Mr. Patel motions. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Sarah Turner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Aye. Mr. Sandoval? Andrew?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 4-0. Hey, Tim. Oh. Okay, so now we'll move over to closed session. Okay, is everybody back? Sarah, no. Okay, everybody's back. Okay. So okay, we're reconvening to open session at 6:04 p.m. And we didn't vote on anything, so there's nothing to report out. So can I get a motion? We do the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning. So we're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve.
Okay, so motions, can I get a second?
I second.
And just seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, aye. Okay, motion
Aye,
passes.
Captain.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay, so now we move on to reports, information, and correspondence. So we start off with SRTA.
I have their report. It says, good evening, board trustees. Teachers were excited to see their students after the much needed winter break, as were students happy to see their teachers once again. Although our teaching environment has changed once again, with most working from home, our amazing members continue to connect with students to create a place to learn and feel safe, even if it is virtually. We appreciate Mr. Ryan and his cabinet keeping us informed of the ever-changing data and making sure all staff are safe. I have had members express their appreciation of HR and Nurse Simmelman when a member and family has needed to quarantine. It has helped to continue the feeling of the way our district is not just a workplace, but a family. Flexibility and the open communication we have with admin has also been a blessing at this time. Thank you, board trustees, for always having our staff, students, and families' best interests in mind as you make many important decisions. Kate Stover, SRTA President.
Okay, great, thank you. And we move on to CSEA. Is there anybody from there? Nicole?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, great. Then we'll move on to the principal spotlight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Baumgardner, principal here at New Republic. I'm honored to be here tonight, so thank you for the invite. I have a little presentation about some of the things that we've been doing here at New Republic, so give me a second to, oh no. Nicole,
Yeah.
it says I can't share.
Okay, let me see here.
I thought we worked this out today. Sorry.
Sarah, I was just gonna
Okay, try it now.
I can, thank you.
Okay.
All right, put this over here. So, I know we talked about this kind of being a principal spotlight, but I really want to highlight the amazing things that our staff is doing here at New Republic. People always told me that it's such an amazing place to be with such amazing people, and it's really true. And I found that out the more I work here, and I'm so thankful to be here. So our motto here is that New Republic knows no limits to the success of every student. And I wanted to add and staff member, because we've worked really hard to support our staff during this difficult time, this new learning time. And so we've really been focused on how we're supporting our families, our students, and our staff members. So first, our families. We have an amazing PTA here at New Republic, and they put on several different types of events for us. We had our very successful Pop Your Trunk event with New Republic, which was a drive-through Halloween event. It didn't quite take the place of our usual fall festival, but we're excited about when we get to come back in a safe way that we can continue that tradition. We've also started a tradition of having virtual bingo, which was a great event too, where our families were able to engage in a fun activity from the safety of their own homes. We have been reaching out to our families through Cafecitos, and so far we have covered checking in with them on how distance learning is going, as well as participating in the Safe Routes to School survey, where we were able to get valuable input on some of the traffic concerns around New Republic. We worked with an agency who is going to take that information to the City Council and provide some suggestions on how to make sure that traveling to and from our school is safe for our students. We've been focusing on communication and making sure that our families have access to our staff members and that our teachers are able to connect with families who may speak another language. So we make sure that we're connecting our paras who are bilingual with the families who need that support. We've also offered extended hours for tech support and for material distribution because we recognize that working families have different needs, and we wanted to make sure that we were accommodating those needs. These are some of the exciting things that our PTA has done. We also had a fundraiser with the Pizza Factory, which was across the street right before we went on winter break. And I'm excited. We have a PTA meeting tomorrow, an executive board, to kind of hear how successful that was and what we can do next. Once again, we had the Pop Your Trunk event, which was very popular with families and staff. The virtual bingo was wonderful, and we made sure that we sold our bingo supplies, our cards and our dabbers in a nice safe with as minimal contact as possible. These are a couple of the pictures that we had from our New Republic event. We sold our bingo there as people were coming in, and we had some lovely staff members who would hand the bags in through the window so that it was had as little contact as possible. We have regular distribution days, and while that has adjusted a little bit with our new work from home, we're going to modify it to make sure that we're getting our families and students the materials and supplies that they need. And this is a picture. We have a nice drive-through that gets set up. Every grade level has its own table. We have our wonderful classified staff who mans our table and can hand the materials to our families in a nice, safe manner. One of the things I love about New Republic teachers is that even with something as simple as handing out materials, they still like to make it a little fun and keep that that interest with our families. And so you can see in the upper corner that we have a bag that has that top secret sign. They actually have like an unwrapping kind of a meeting for certain teams and go through what materials the students are getting. And for our students, we have various after-school tutoring classes going on, and we're actually in the process of expanding that right now. We have a student council made up of fifth graders who went through an application process and were nominated by their teachers and their class who are working on some important projects. We have a STEM club for our fourth and fifth grade students. We have aligned additional resources and teaching personnel to teach kindergarten ELD. We have an art showcase where some students can work on and can present their art in a nice, safe place, which we share out. And then we also have our Patriot Scholar Award. So this is an opportunity for teachers to nominate 2 students who have been showing exceptional distance learning behaviors, and they get nominated. These students get a certificate and a voucher for one of our local food places, as well as an entry into a raffle to receive a gift card of some kind. These are some pictures from our STEM club. Here they're working on building structures using some common materials. And then there's a lovely stop motion video that they've been working on as well. So it's wonderful to see them getting to use their distance learning skills in a different way. We also had a nice Red Ribbon Week where we had a nice, like a spirit week where every day was a different topic. One of our days was to decorate your own mask. And so one of our distribution days, we sent home everybody with their own individually sealed mask so they could decorate it and then show off their pictures. And then we had, of course, our sports day with some of our kiddos from our supervision that we had when we were working on campus. And these are a couple of pictures from our art showcase. And so we get to put these all together in a nice, lovely slideshow, and then people can see them and see the different types of art that are happening in the classrooms. Right now, our student council is working on creating resources and tools for our character trait of the month. We're going to be starting in February with respect. And so right now they're actually working on recording some videos about what respect looks like in a distance learning environment, as well as some non-examples of what respect looks like. And so that's going to help us be supporting our work around character counts as we move forward. And so we really wanted that student voice to help push out that initiative. And our staff, we have such an amazing staff. And I'm so impressed with how they have come together in such unusual times. So one thing that we implemented early on was staff gave feedback. They're like, we're in distance learning. We're not sure what it looks like. We need to have that kind of support. So we implemented site learning walks where pairs of teachers would get released from their classrooms to go and visit other classrooms for distance learning. They looked at various things such as routines and procedures, how teachers were checking for understanding, and some of the ed tech tools that were being used. So we started off with our probationary and new teachers to make sure that they had the appropriate support they needed to be successful in this new environment. We also have made sure that we have provided additional collaboration opportunities for our staff. So at the end of a learning walk, the two teachers then have some planning and prep time to work on implementing some of the strategies that they saw during their learning walk. We also offered some paid PLC time over winter break, because normally we would have some site release days where teams could come together, talk about their essential standards, talk about what they're going to be working on. And in our current situation, that wasn't going to work out how it normally would. So we had almost all of our teams take advantage and come together and really put in some good planning time over the break. And I'm very impressed with my staff for taking advantage of that time. We've also been working on providing professional development around distance learning. So early on, we brought in Corwin and one of the authors of the Distance Learning Playbook. And we've been working on certain things like how we transfer best practice in in-person learning to distance learning. So we talked about teacher clarity. We talked about success criteria. We have also talked about how asynchronous time should be spent for students versus synchronous time, and thinking about the difference in how valuable our live time is to make sure we're getting the most out of that time with our kiddos. We're also started having teacher-led workshops. And so our TOSA has begun that with some iReady support, with some ed tech support, but we recently expanded it to having a teacher spotlight during our staff meetings, and are actually going to be expanding it more. Our next session is going to be focused on digitizing materials that we have. So that way we're going to be having fewer distribution days. So we wanted to make sure that teachers had some strategies on how to push out materials that they already have. So how are we going to be digitizing the curriculum that we have to be able to give it to kids digitally? We're also going to be having a couple sessions on mindfulness, as well as some trauma-informed practices. We have a wonderful asset here in the district. And so we have a teacher from McKinnon who has already started teaching some of our SPED paraprofessionals, as well as our instructional aides, on some best practices for working in small groups, particularly focused on students with disabilities. That will be opened up to our teachers later this month, and they will also have that opportunity. One thing I'm really proud of so far this year is that we are making sure little by little that all of our team members are part of a professional learning community. First, our teachers were already part of one, our general ed classroom teachers were, but this year we expanded it to include our SPED department, as well as our instructional aides, our SPED paraprofessionals, and soon our supervisors. These are opportunities for these staff members to get training, but also to come together and talk about some of the common things that they're experiencing in their positions. So, I always tell them, like, we are much stronger together and smarter together than we are by ourselves. And so we're making sure that we can bring those groups of people together. Another wonderful asset and support we have for our staff right now is we have some amazing tech people on site. formal and informal. So our TOS is doing a lot of work. We have a formal tech lead also in one of our second grade teachers, but we also have a myriad of informal tech people. So our team is really close, and they don't have a problem coming together and supporting each other in tech needs. While we've done a lot, we still have some things that are coming up and some things that we're working on. One thing is we're going to be working on the character counts using our student council based on our survey data that we collected before we went on winter break. We're going to be looking at increasing social opportunities for our students. We are working closely with our counselor on how to provide SEL resources for our families. And then we're also going to be looking ahead. You know, May, while still a little bit away, is pretty close. So we're looking at setting up some collaboration opportunities with Gavilan View, as well as doing some cross-grade level collaboration. We're also expanding our enrichment opportunities and our intervention support. So lots of things going on, lots of positive moves that we're trying to make. And I just cannot be more thankful for the amazing team that I have to be able to make these things a reality. So we're very busy at New Republic, but those are some of the things that we have going on. And I want to say thank you for inviting me to share. And I'm very impressed with our staff for all the work that they're doing.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Do any board members have questions or comments? Want to start with Sarah? No questions or comments?
No, but just thank you for all you do, and for my thanks to the staff as well.
Mr. Patel?
Well, Ms. Baumgartner, I just want to say welcome and thank you. That was a fantastic presentation. You know, you've inherited a very beautiful school, beautiful staff, and I live right in the area. Both of my kids went there, and you know, when I look for how well a school is doing, I look for three things. The first is student engagement, and you hit it out of the ballpark with that. The other thing I look for is professional development of our staff to make sure they're improving and using best practices, and that's what I'm seeing. And last but not least, I always want to see parental community involvement, you know, and I definitely see a lot of that, especially through the PTA. So I commend you for your presentation, and you know, you've inherited big shoes to fill, and I'm sure you'll grow within them and make the shoe size even bigger. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Sandoval?
Yes, thank you for that amazing presentation. How exciting. I love hearing about all the collaboration, especially the parent participation, because we all know that if more parents participate, the more successful their kids are. So that's exciting. Your PTA seems like an amazing PTA. I'd love to join you on one of your meetings. You know, so I especially love the collaboration. You know, to hear that you'll be reaching out to GV and the different schools. So I commend you on that, and how exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome as well. And I just want to say it was pretty cool as how you're doing as far as the collaborative between like the supervisors and stuff. So it just kind of shows that we're all in this together. And it's also amazing how we've all just adjusted to the new way of living, you know, with COVID and stuff, and having to adjust the teamwork and how the students and parents kind of interact with like the bingo virtually. You know, that's really awesome and stuff as well. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's cabinet. Tim, if you want to take the lead.
I'm not sure what order I've got them in, but whatever order is on the check.
Okay, so we'll start off with nutritional services.
Yeah, just go through whatever order we put them on. Yeah.
I say we start with Chuck.
I'll start this time, okay? So good evening, everyone. Welcome back. First thing I want to talk about is something I've been wanting to share for a while. I've held off because we've had a lot of issues with it, and that's our equipment assistance grant from school year 1920. We finally are getting the last piece of equipment. If everything works out, I'll be picking it up next week. So that's exciting. That's the barbecue trailer that we were hoping for and were granted by the state. So.
Oh, we're getting that grill. We're getting that grill, baby.
So we had to do a couple extensions. We had some vendor issues, but all is well now. Hopefully I didn't jinx it. And again, I should be bringing it back to the district next week. The other thing is the GB kitchen project. I'm not going to talk a lot about that because it's still fairly new, but I just want to show my appreciation for being involved in that planning. And I've had a great time and great meetings with Victor and our architect, Don, working through that process. They're both very knowledgeable, and I appreciate the collaboration there. So those are the good news items. And then lastly, I'll close with the delivery route. So we did make a decision to postpone those for these first 2 weeks of January, just to kind of see how the COVID numbers were going, and have now kind of decided to just temporarily just stop them until we can really get a grasp and figure out how to safely get our staff out into the community. Last thing we want to do is have it spread through our district, more than it maybe has. So our counts will go down, but I think that the trade-off and having our staff healthy is what we'll deal with that. So that's all for me, and I'll take any questions or anything from anyone.
Any questions or? No? Okay, thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. Okay, move on to, I think CBO, but I think she's on vacation, correct? I think you're on mute.
Rosa, you're up. You got your.
Oh, okay, she's here. Okay.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone. I want to apologize. Not sure what's wrong with my video. I click on it and it's all black, and then I click stop video and at least it's showing my name. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, just some updates. I was off the last 2 weeks in December and the first week of January. But pretty much what we worked in December, like I had mentioned before, is closing those two resources for CARES Act funding. And it was a total of $3.3 million that we were working on. And as you remember before, we really wanted to get an extension to be able to spend the funds throughout the year, but that was not approved. And so we did everything we had to do following the guidelines. As a reminder, these are restricted funds that needed to be spent on COVID-19 related expenses. So a lot of our school sites were working really hard on getting those last items and supplies in the month of December. I know some of them had to stay after hours to wait for the shipments, and even on the weekends. So I want to thank everyone at the school sites for doing the extra work and making sure that all of the items were received on time. We were having a lot of issues with our mail due to COVID-19. Again, we were getting delays. So that's pretty much what we focus on right now. What I'm pretty much dealing with, or what we're really busy on, is because we don't have the COVID-19 funds anymore. Now I'm getting emails saying we have this expense, it's COVID related, where do we get the funds? So that's what we're working on. On the good side, some of the good news is that there was a federal stimulus funding that was signed by the president on December 27, 2020, which provides additional funding for the schools nationwide. This is gonna be money that's gonna be distributed based on the same way that we get our Title I funding. So we would qualify for that funding. At this moment, we don't know the amount and we don't know when the funding is coming. And I just hope that they do it soon because the need is there. We do need the funding. We do need to continue those after school tutoring programs, and we need more supplies for our students. We need to provide the after school support. So as soon as I get more information about the funding and the timing, I will let you know. That's pretty much what I have as of today. And let me know if you have any questions in regards to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. Any questions or comments by the board? No? Okay. Then move on to student services.
Good evening, everyone. We, as you know, returned from winter break last week. And then we we had determined here in the district office to begin rolling out and begin processing interdistrict transfers as well as intras, but usually interdistrict transfers are wanted pretty heavily. So we have been able to adjust our system a little bit. I've worked with Amy Lopez, Jennifer Nunez, as well as Nicole Johnson, kind of reviewing where we've seen glitches in the past and where we would like to streamline and have the system be more efficient for our families and more accessible. So we have made some adjustments to the website. Nicole Jensen has helped us create a fillable Google form, which was a way to get started. You know, we don't have all of the systems that some of the bigger districts has, but that's okay. That doesn't mean we can't still use another tool to create, you know, a form or a system that works for us. So we're starting with just a Google form that Nicole developed for us that's fillable and then kicks back to us and that we process it. And so far that's working well. We're making adjustments as we go based on feedback from the public. So, or just making adjustments based on like, oh, we forgot a signature line there, or, you know, how do we ensure that another district knows that this is our form? So, so far so good. We're processing all the early birds who come in, which are usually releases to another district. So as we begin to gather data, that's something I can provide for you. I know that question has come up. How many do we release? How many do we bring in? Typically, under most years that I've been here, it's been pretty similar on those numbers. I think right now it's looking good. We like our system. We're going to track it. We've got a better tracking system for the documents, and really that tracking system is Amy and Jennifer just really professionalizing that whole process and holding the documents. We're going to create a spreadsheet as well, and then just keep it updated so that we have a very effective and efficient way to gather that data. Because the question does come up. Everybody wants to know how many kids are going out, how many kids are going in. I'm not quite sure if it's appropriate to disclose where they're going necessarily, but that's something that I'll be looking at. But I'm seeing the same trend that I've seen. This is my 4th year processing them for Santa Rita. It's the same trend. The trend has not changed, even with COVID, of these initial requests. So far so good. So thanks to my colleagues here in the district office for putting that together and strategizing and bouncing it off of each other. And we'll keep modifying the system and making the changes that are needed so that it's user-friendly for families. Of course, we still offer paper. If you're coming up to the front door and you need that, we will do that as well. So thank you to my office colleagues. If anybody has any questions on that, I'm more than happy to answer.
Any questions, Mr. Patel?
I just want to say thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know I mentioned it last time to hopefully to streamline the process, and that's what I'm hearing. And so thank you very much. I just, we have a great district. I just want to make sure that if we have any open seats available, that we fill them, with students who definitely want to come here from across the city. So thank you for doing that, and thank you to Nicole and everybody else, who worked on the project with you. Thank you.
And the only thing that I'd ask is if we get to the point where we're sending letters to people saying, like, yes, everything's been processed, that you just let us know, because that's the #1 call that I get. Like, have letters gone out to people? What's the timeline? And then I'm calling you, asking you. So just, the notification at a board meeting, like, oh, we're getting that information out to people. Thank you.
Yeah, right now, Sarah, I've processed because I'm not out in the field like I normally am. In the past, I've been the director who's in their office the least amount of time because I'm at the school site. So as of the moment, every single one that's a release has been processed the minute we receive it. So, but we do want to keep up that efficiency. And I think we can because I will actually be here. Sometimes the process would get slowed down because there could be 5 or 6 days in a row where I'm, flying through the district office and then out handling some case that needs attention. So my hope is that we can keep up, the efficiency. And I think that we'll be able to do that. But absolutely, we will keep them rolling and we'll make sure families know if they've been queued up, if it could be more than a normal, time frame for processing that for them, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm also very aware that a lot of times we're dependent on another district, we're waiting on a release from them. We can't do anything about that.
We can refer the family to the Department of Education School Board, Monterey County.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, yeah, thank you, Nadine. It's really great seeing it on the schools and stuff and moving the process along. Thank you. Okay, move on to human resource.
Thank you. We are scheduling meetings currently, staffing meetings with each school site. So that will include Melissa Alderman, our HR liaison, Charlotte Garcia, and myself, along with each principal, to start anticipating our 2021 staffing and recruitment needs. And so that is in the works now. Those meetings will begin this Friday. And I will also be scheduling a second check-in meeting with our intern and pre-intern teachers this month to see how they're progressing with their credential work and if there's any support that they need from us. And I think that's about it for right now. Thank you.
Real quick, Becky, you said 2021. Did you mean 21, 22?
I did mean 21, 22. These years are going by too fast. What's happening?
Okay, no, well, it
Thank
doesn't
you.
seem like we even had a 2021.
We are currently staffed for 2021.
I'm stuck in 1986. 1986.
Thank you,
I was
Neil.
getting worried there for a minute.
Becky, just to clarify, so are we taking applications for teachers for next year already?
Not yet, but generally recruitment fairs begin in February.
Yeah, I was
and
wondering.
really recruitment launches at that point and then is ongoing until every position is filled, sometimes into the summer, depending on when resignations begin to come in. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Becky. Any other final questions or comments? Okay, go ahead, sir.
I just want to say, I believe we skipped maintenance earlier.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. Mr.
Yeah, he's got stuff to say too. So
I know. Okay, we'll go to back to maintenance. Sorry, Victor.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? All right, perfect. So, as I mentioned in the Friday letter, we are completed with phase 1 of the fix for the solar system, and it's looking good. It's looking really good, but yeah, I don't want to really kind of exactly. I don't want to do that just yet because the hardest part is next. And I try to explain it kind of a simplified method to what we're doing because one, the inverters that go to the solar are one system, and the inverters that are a quasi battery charging and a solar charging are a different system. And so we're just really crossing our fingers that ELM, the people who are actually doing the Monterey Bay Aquarium, are guaranteeing us that it's going to work. So I won't believe it until it happens. However, we're going to start seeing some savings in our electrical bill now because the inverters that are installed are a higher performance from the old ideal. So again, it's not fixed completely, but we're really micromanaging the whole system on how they're doing it. And I'm kind of really becoming intimate with the system now. So I think that, I do understand it. I do understand the original intent and what it's not doing. So I think that gives us the leverage on being able to hold them accountable for that. The other thing that I did say on my Friday letter was we're installing the gates and the fencing system for the Rogie Commons and the, I think it's a West Valley Community Church. So maintenance, also continuing to do the COVID and the work orders. Our transportation still assisting the custodial system. And the other thing that I didn't really put on my letter is we have 2 projects going on right now that kicked off, and that's part of a 5-year plan, the deferred maintenance that you guys approved prior. And so those 2 are the fire alarm at GV and the sanitary sewer fix for Little Bear Creek. Yeah. So the other thing that we do have in planning is 3 projects. Other than, you know, the GV modernization kitchen, like Chuck said, we thought we weren't going to be able to really look at the bigger picture solely because we had some obstacles that we had to get through, and it was basically the reason for a sheer wall being in the middle of the kitchen that would not let us expand. So luckily the engineers justified it, and they feel very strongly that they're going to justify it with DSA. DSA is Division of State Architects with the state. So we have that. We have the Parent Resource Center, which is being designed now. And so I've been working really close with our principal at Santa Rita, and she has notified the staff of what's coming about and the teacher who's going to be moved. So there's going to be several moves there in order to keep that teacher in correlation or nearby the grade that she's teaching. So we're kind of making sure that everybody's okay with that. The other thing is we're working on the district master plan. Other than that, that's what we got going right now. I'm sure in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to give you a little bit more information on Chuck's new kitchen. So any questions?
Any questions for the board? Mr. Sandoval?
Just thanks for all the updates. The Family Resource Center, that's going to be front facing the school, right? So is that right? I think I remember.
That is correct. So we selected room 501, I believe. And that is going to let us keep the resource center open during the day and not breach the perimeter fencing or the safety fencing into the campus. So that'll let the parents go in and out from the parking lot directly. So they don't have to go into the classrooms. They don't have to go into the site, and they're not going to go into the office.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Victor. Appreciate the update. Okay, now we move forward to educational services. Ms. Alderman.
Good evening. We've really been spending a lot of time lately getting trained to administer our spring LPAC and SBAC assessments online. We've all been participating in a series of trainings and surviving those, and then debriefing and making sure we all understood it the same way. There's lots of nuances, working very closely with our district office special education staff as we look at the accommodations that are built in for students and how we can facilitate that with students taking these assessments at home. Right now, the state is working under the assumption that the majority of students across the state will be administered these tests from a home setting. And so they're kind of building in different practices and procedures accordingly. So it's put us through a few more trainings than we normally do right before test administration, but that's just the current situation.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions or comments from the board? Nope.
Just if you could pass on my gratitude to the staff and my solidarity with them that they're being asked to do something that I don't think they should be asked to do, but there it is.
Yep.
Okay, move on to board reports. We'll start off with Sarah.
I will be attending the Monterey County School Boards Association meeting on January 25th. So if I will be bringing that information to you when I have it, and I believe that the board members received an email about nonprofits that were nominated for the Excellence in Education Award. So if you could pass on to Tim if there's any specific organizations that you'd like our district to vote for. So we will be voting at that meeting for which nonprofit receives the Excellence in Education Award, and then planning out what will happen the rest of the year. Obviously, there's usually a big countywide event in March that was canceled last year because of COVID. So I don't know that we have any, I am assuming that we're not rescheduling that. So when I have more information, I'll let you guys know, but thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Patel? You're on mute.
Wow, screwed up on that one, didn't I? 2 points. One is, I've had a lot of input from parents, and there's a big need to get our students back into the classroom, and a lot of parents are concerned, and I'm with them on that, in the fact that, we do need to get our students back. However, I think considering that we are in one of the highest rated zip codes in the county, that if any district was going to wait in terms of safety, it has to be us, and as well as East Salinas. And so for all those parents, I just want to say, listen, we understand, we know difficulties. My own kids are in school, but ultimately, safety, and we're going to go by the science, and that's what I'm going to support in terms of opening our schools. Second, last week, I've been going to New Republic, especially when they do the food drives. And I got out of the car and I talked to a few of the National Guard people out there, and I was very impressed that here we have soldiers feeding the needy during the worst pandemic in our lifetime. And I saluted them. I told them how proud of them that our district was, having them there. And then no later than a few days later, we see an insurrection and a direct attack on our Constitution. All of us as board members, from school board members all the way up to senators, including teachers, we all take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And here I am with soldiers who are doing everything. They fight abroad and they feed the needy here. And yet we have people out there who are directly attacking our democracy. And so I'm going to be asking when the input session of agenda items for us to agendize a resolution, and hopefully with the support of the entire board, that we condemn the acts that happened in our capital, that we will always stand up and fight for and protect and defend our nature, our belief, our entire value system based on a democracy which comes from our Constitution. And so I hope that every single elected board, all the way from school board to city council to county supervisors to state reps, all the way up to state senators and everywhere, that each and every elected person has a duty to stand up during this time. So when the record is reflected many years from now, that there is proof that people did speak up, that elected people did stand up to defend our Constitution. And that is what I wish the history will be written from this point forward. So I encourage all board members of every district, as well as any elected official, to please stand up. And you've taken the oath, now fight for it. It was straight up and clear to defend from both foreign and domestic. In this case, we had domestic terrorists. And so I'm very upset as far as what happened, but at the same time, good people did stand up and are standing up now and trying to do the right thing. Now, I know this is a political situation and yet this is a school board. Well, The truth is, we teach the Constitution in our schools. We all stand up every day, or that want to, and do the Pledge of Allegiance. And the fact that we had a direct attack on those very two institutions, and that is our belief in our allegiance, as well as a belief in support of our Constitution through this great nation, that I ask all of you to please support this agenda item. Having said that, I want to thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Patel, for your words. They're very powerful, and I do agree with you as well. Mr. Sandoval?
Yes, Mr. Patel, I support you 100%, and having to speak to my children and them having to witness that, I wholeheartedly support, what you're pushing forward. I have just been working on reviewing our board policies, looking forward to our upcoming facility meeting, and just keeping informed of what's going on in the district. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I attended an All for Equity, workshop put on by the county. It was really amazing. We had a lot of great speakers. The most impactful part to me was a lot of the presenters were educators, principals who, growing up, they got into trouble. And if it wasn't for those people that kind of reached out their hand and made a difference in their lives, they would have been headed a different path. So it was just a reminder to, I guess, what I want to say also to everybody watching is, even though we meet youth sometimes that don't fit the mold or seem like, they're a little bit lost. It's always good to reach out to them because, they could be the future leaders that we need in the world. So. The other thing, which is also on the agenda, I have been in contact with CSBA regarding setting up our annual retreat, which we'll have a discussion about on the agenda. And I've also been having conversations with a gentleman who Mr. Lozano recommended as far as a superintendent evaluation. His name is Walt. He's a previous superintendent and also has a passion for helping boards and superintendents and staff work productively together and stuff. So it's also been something that I've been kind of working on. And that's about it on my side. So thank you. Move on to superintendent's report. Tim.
Thank you, Jacob. Just a couple of things. One, I've been re-engaging staff meetings. I've been to 2 so far this month. Went to New Republics and Bolsonols staff meetings just to talk to people. The 2 things they're most concerned about, obviously, was the governor's plan to incentivize reopen and also vaccines. And so I know that Nadine and Nurse Semmelman are working through the health department and they're on their end working on vaccines, and I'm working through the county office and the health department there. And I think we're just getting information when it's going to be. And what I'm hearing is basically the same thing that they're hearing, which is sometime they expect teachers and educators to be somewhere in mid-February where we should be in line for the first rounds. That's if the vaccines get here and they're, distributed properly and we have them. So that's a good start. I don't know how long it's going to take to get through all of that. There's a lot of teachers in this state, a lot of educators, but right now they're going through the frontline troops and the elderly. And so as soon as they're done with them, we should be able to get in line. Then the other thing is I met with our union reps, all the site reps and the president and vice president on Monday, and the same thing. We just discussed, just in general, what is our philosophy on it? And it's much like Mr. Patel said, we're going to let the data tell us when it's safe, and we're going to move like we have from the very beginning, which is we're going to wait until the positivity rates and the new cases are in safer levels than they are now. Right now, they're tremendously high. And Neil, you're right. Our zip code and Alisal zip code are 2 of the highest. They are the 2 highest in the county, both in new infections and deaths, actually. So we're monitoring that very closely, and I'm going to keep you guys apprised of that. Starting next board meeting, I'll give everybody has access. I give that link out to all the teachers, all the staff, as far as that, so they can monitor it every week. It renews, it refreshes every Tuesday. So And then finally, yes, it's good news to talk about reassembling our facilities committee and reinstituting that so we can start talking about some of these projects that are actually projects and not fixing things that we've already done. So we're really excited about the Gavilan View project that we're working on. That's the big one that we're working on and getting that ready. We should be ready to go with, we're going to talk to the principal and some of the staff on, I think, the 26th. And then we're meeting with the facilities committee early February. The plan is to either have a second facilities committee meeting sometime in late February and then be able to have a presentation before the board at the first March board meeting for final approval, so we can send those plans to DSA and get them approved so we can move forward. And then this is all part of the master plan that Victor has been working on with our architects. It'll be the phase one, part one of that plan, and part of that is also we're looking at moving some of the Monterey County buildings into places on the La Jolla campus and the Santa Rita campus where it'll address some Americans with Disabilities Act findings that they had, some issues that they're having. We'll resolve that. It'll resolve parking issues. It's also going to resolve, location of those where ingress and egress are restricted because the Head Start building at La Jolla, they have to go through the campus to get to that building. And we're trying to remedy that by putting it off on the south side of the building over by the other county, the county office tip program, so we can get them closer together and have their own parking there so they can have direct entrance into the building. Those are all the first three projects that we're dealing with. And then there'll be more to come. And we're looking forward to talking about those later in the year too as well. So this is all being funded through restricted dollars that are being reimbursed from the state for the Bolson Science Next Gen project that we did 4 years ago or 5 years ago. We used money from our facilities fund for that, and we front loaded it, and then we applied for the funding to be reimbursed. Well, it's finally been reimbursed, and since they come out of restricted construction dollars, we're going to put them back into construction and start addressing some of these high needs that we have, especially GV's kitchen. So that's all I have, and we look forward to the facilities meeting. We'll have that. We'll have one more board meeting between now and then we'll have a facilities meeting. And then we should be able to report back to the board sometime in late February or March.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Any questions or comments from the board? Sarah?
This is a comment. I just realized that I hadn't mentioned anything earlier, just so that all the board members, superintendent, and everything are aware. I was saddened to read in the paper that Al-Sal District and Salinas Union High School District have had to make the decision to file a lawsuit against the city because of the central area plan. You know, that history is just repeating itself, where I really had hopes that the city was going to do something different because of our situation, and they chose not to. So our brothers and sisters in Al-Sal are in the same boat that we're in. So I'm hoping as we move forward that we'll have a better plan for the city going forward.
Sorry. Any other board member comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. There's no public comment. Nicole, is any comments that came through?
No, there's no comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on, no business items. Move on to 6.0 student services. Item number 6.1.
Thank you. So we have our December 2020 board policy updates for the new board members joining us tonight. This is just part of a manual maintenance program. What I have provided, or what I typically provide for the board, are the checklist. In this one, there's 2 pages. You'll notice that I blacklined out some policies on that checklist. I like to keep them there so you can see what they are. Those policies that are blacklined out are typically high school policies that would not apply to a K-8 district. But from a perspective of an educator, sometimes it's just interesting to see what those policies are for a high school district, and just be aware of them, because our kids do go to the high school district. So I blacklined out, although I kept them on the summary page, and I think I removed them from the actual board packet. I did this 48 hours before I went on vacation, and I did it really fast. And then I started thinking about 5 o'clock this afternoon, like, ooh, did I do that all correctly or check it enough? But for Mr. Andrew Sandoval, who's coming in, we do these updates come quarterly. They're typically, let me see if I can get it right. It's March, July, October, and December. And so they're basically updates that just update a current policy. If the policy, exhibit, or regulation is new, it will say that on the checklist as well. So what I have provided to you is the checklist, as well as the summary guide sheet, and as well as then the actual draft of the policy. Whenever we have options that we need to select, I cross-check it with the current policy, and then I follow that in terms of updating the policy. So for example, for Administrative Reg 1312.3 for uniform complaint procedures, there's an option, you see option 1 and option 2. I've recommended that we select option 2 because that's what exists in the current policy. So when you're looking at these and you see that I have an option, just know that if it's a new policy, I usually talk with Tim, what do we think the recommendation is? And then open it up, or we can have a quick discussion on it. But right now, the policies that you see right now are not new. They're updates to what currently exists, and they're important. We're getting a lot of updates for, I was working with Becky just for uniform complaint procedures, and a lot of COVID updates that come in and those types of plans. So I do pretty well now that we've got our system down in Santa Rita and updating it. This was something that Tim and I really wanted to do when we got here. We were like, wow, your policies are old. So since we've done our global adoption, we've been able to be very efficient as a district, and we've hit every update, deadline that's come in. So if you have any questions about this, I know that 3 of our board members have been through this with me now, 3 rounds now that we have it down. So if our new member or anybody else has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions or help you through the process if there's more information that you need.
Thank you, Nadine. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just had a quick question. Are we, since we're updating our uniform complaint procedures, are we also updating our form? Do you know if we've had an update to that?
Nadine, I can take this. Andrew, we talked last week, and I did look up, I looked up some policies or some forms from Salinas Elementary, Alisal High School District, and we're updating them. I'm going to run them through Nadine's office, and she'll be bringing them back for the next meeting. We had to wait for this policy to get updated before we did that. So
there should also be, though, there should be an exhibit that already exists. So there's sometimes that exhibit can give some direction as well. So Tim and I will take a look at it. So the forms also come from CSBA as well for a uniform complaint. So we may want to look at those exhibits. Certainly if we get an email or anything regarding it, we handle it right away. We've been pretty proactive on that. So I will take a look as well, Tim, to make sure, because the exhibit may already exist. And
there is an exhibit that currently exists for the Williams, but not for the UCP. So
okay, or Becky and I can take a look at it too. See how we can do it.
Yep, perfect.
And CSBA probably has the exhibit that has the standard. So it's not really necessarily reinventing the wheel. So we'll check on that for sure. Absolutely.
And then we'll get it back in the next meeting.
Yeah, I was going to mention that CSBA and the whole support and resources they offer is always awesome, even when we first did the global adoption, and as far as them sending the updates and stuff. So it makes it easy for the districts too. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Okay, Ms. Turner motions. Can I get a second?
Second.
And Mr. Patel, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, Captain.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Okay, thank you, Nadine. Okay, now we move on to 7.1.
Thank you. This is an approval or a request for an approval of a memorandum of understanding between the district and our CSEA chapter. This is similar to the one that was approved in November for our teachers union regarding employees attending the funeral service for Mr. Gutierrez and allowing them to take bereavement time for that instead of using their personal time. And so that has been implemented. They go through a different process than our teachers union goes through for approval. So it just took a little bit longer for this to come your way for the approval.
I make a motion to approve 7.2.
Is there a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, second, Ms. Patel. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, Captain.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 4-0. Move on to item 7.2.
Thank you. And I would like to talk to you about both 7.2 and 7.3 together because they are connected. So there has been a change in need with a position at McKinnon Elementary and a position at New Republic Elementary. So we did hire an employee for New Republic, I take it back, for McKinnon. And she was hired as an instructional para, and it became clear that it was a need for her to be a bilingual para in the setting that existed. At the same time, we had a vacancy at New Republic to fill, and it was classified as a bilingual para, but the need had changed in that classroom, and the bilingual classification was not needed at the time. And so in working with the CSEA chapter, we made two agreements. One was to reclassify the position at New Republic so that we would hire the position as an instructional para for special education without the bilingual classification, but that we would reclassify the employee at McKinnon to hold that bilingual classification. And retroactively make that happen because she had in fact been using her Spanish skills in her work since she was hired in August. And so the first item, 7.2, is to approve the MOU between CSEA and the district to reclassify employee number 159936 to instructional para special education bilingual effective August 5th, which was when she began that position. And then to reclassify in 7.3, the position that is at New Republic to a regular sped para instead of a bilingual para. Does that make sense? I had to really look at these two items while I was writing them to make sure it was clear.
Any questions on either 7.2 or 7.3?
No, I just want to qualify. I believe when I made the motion on the earlier one, I misspoke and referred to, I put the wrong number in. So just to clarify that the earlier number was 7.1 regarding the bereavement policy. And that now we're talking about 7.2 and 7.3. I apologize. I realized that I said the wrong number.
And having said that, I motion to approve 7.2.
Okay. Can I get a second for 7.2?
Second.
Okay, Sarah seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye, Captain.
Aye.
Move on to 7.2. Any questions on this one either? It's pretty straightforward, I imagine. So no questions. Can I get a motion? Not everybody at once.
So moved.
You're gonna end your motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Sarah seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye, Captain.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Okay. Thank you, Becky. Okay, now we move on. Sorry. Just pulling this up really quick. I'm sorry, I lost my page on the agenda. What's the next item you guys see on there?
I believe we're at 9.1, the discussion of the annual board members retreat.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Mr. President, we talked about going to Hawaii. My request is always being turned down. They say we can go if we quarantine for 14 days. I don't mind staying there 14 days. I don't. Just want to let you know. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Patel. I don't think that's an appropriate use of public funds.
Once again, Andrew Vanderwall, stopping the fun.
Sorry.
Okay, so I had sent out a flyer previously, so I wanted to share my screen just to kind of review it again. Kind of what was discussed previously. So let me just pull that up really quick. Okay, so I had been in contact with CSBA regarding doing a Good Beginnings workshop. And so we had seen these before previously. So there's a couple different options. And one is doing it on a single day. Usually runs all day, so usually Saturday would be the best day. Or it can be split up between 2 days on weekdays, just depending on, I guess, everybody's schedule and the flexibility. Does a board or Tim have a preference if we do it on an all day or over the course of 2 or 3 days?
In the past, I think we did one on one of our 4-day weekend in February, like when we have that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think because those days off, we did it on those days, if I'm not mistaken. So we could look at those.
Okay.
I'd be curious, Jacob, if it's possible to talk to them about, I don't want a prepackaged thing that they do for everybody. It's like if you're telling me that it's 9 to 3 o'clock, I'm assuming you're wasting my time for half of that time, which is sort of a negative thing to say, but that's the way that I feel about it. So, just kicking it back to them and saying, hey, what's the most streamlined version of this that we could do? Because I don't want to be presented at. And, if they're like, this is the way we do it, that's the way we do it, I'm not really interested in a one size fits all kind of a thing.
Okay, so maybe one thing that we could potentially do would be, if we, I know me and you had kind of been on the committee as far as the evaluations, but as far as maybe myself with another board member having a conversation with them and setting the agenda as far as what we would like to get covered within those time periods. And then we can bring it back to the board and say, hey, this is what the way the agenda would look like.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. And I'm happy to participate, in doing that. So thank you.
Okay. And is there
real quick before I just, I think as I'm looking at these with the building blocks and all that, I think it might be good if we incorporate our governance handbook into this so we can go through that and update that and build on that. And because a lot of these different elements that it looks like they're talking about are things that we should talk about. And so it takes it from what Sarah's talking about, which is the theoretical, into the practical, which is this is what we do. So now let's talk about these things in context of what Santa Rita does, if that makes sense.
How does the rest of the board feel as far as what Sarah was mentioning, the structure as far as the days?
I'm in agreement with a combination of both. I think we need to direct what the actual workshop will be. I don't like to have wasted time. And at the same time, I do agree with Tim. I think we need to structure it so we have a work product coming out of it that is relevant to our school district. So I think we could probably do both. Now, in terms of having it 1 day or 2 days, I would rather, if it happened, let's have it during the weekdays and have it at 2 hours, at the most per day, maybe an hour and a half, and that way we have enough time to digest information and come back the next day and finish up.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that idea. So it gives you a chance to digest and then the next day being able to do it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't want to do a redundancy of things that maybe we've already, you all are very experienced. I've attended this Good Beginnings workshop before at another school district as a member of the public. It's good, but there's probably a lot of things that are redundant. And I think Sarah and you would be great at streamlining that process and really focusing on whatever goals we want to achieve as a board or talk about. I think like the roles and responsibilities, I think, I think we're up to date on those, but I think you two would have good judgment to make that determination of what we should be. Although I am a fan of knocking it out in one day, but if the board wants to do 2 days, I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, I also like the idea as far as having a finished product, how Neil was saying and stuff. So I think what we'll do then, that we had a conversation about it, which was really good, is I'll reach out to you, Sarah, and we'll set up a Zoom call with them. And then maybe we'll set up a Zoom call between ourselves first to kind of have talking points. So we want a director. And then from there, we'll set up a time with CSBA and let them know how we want the workshop tailored. And then from there, we'll set up a date and time with the rest of the board. And maybe do it how Ms. Patel was saying, as far as, over a couple of days. So it gives us time to digest the information and maybe come up with more questions on the second come around and stuff.
Thank you.
Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion regarding public discussion for board meetings and public access.
I think this is, we put this on because of a suggestion at the last board meeting. I think, Andrew, if you want to talk about this, you can kind of share what your feelings were on this. So.
Sure. We encourage participation in the board meetings, and more seeing a lot of government agencies move towards people being able to comment via Zoom, joining the meeting and make those comments. I think it has a bigger effect. Also, in this public access, I'd like us to address moving forward on incorporating simultaneous Spanish translation to our board meetings. We serve a high population of English learners and speak Spanish speaking community. So I'd like us to, look into that, to implement that, and possibly even sending out messages to our district staff and community of upcoming board meetings. Just not for them having them look for the board meetings, but being sent that information. And those were my main points. Oh, and possibly, since public access, for a future discussion item, moving public comment to the beginning of the meeting. Sometimes the public logs on and they think they're going to be able to comment, and then they got family things going on, so they may not have that time to wait an hour and a half sometimes.
I think we had moved to the middle of the meeting. I think it was because sometimes people they don't get off of work till a little bit later, and so we figured it would give them more time to kind of get a chance to log in and stuff. So I think that's why we had moved it more towards the center versus at the beginning and stuff. But I mean, they can be re-examined again. That was our train of thought, right?
Yeah. That's why we moved it, because sometimes we were having, especially when we were physically meeting, we were having people show up at like 6:15, and we'd passed that point in the meeting. But I think if I don't mind revisiting it. I mean, the reason we moved it in the first place was to try to get people some more access, and at least it in regards to Spanish translation, I know via Zoom you can do your own closed captioning stuff available for people. We'd have to have somebody typing, like you have to do it yourself, but it is a function Zoom that you can have somebody typing in like translation while people are talking. So it might, and the other thing that we could do is, offer it over the phone to people too.
Okay, so I think one thing is as far as the public having access versus Zoom, I think that would be one of the items he was kind of bringing up. So versus, I guess, sending email comments and then having the board president or Nicole read. I guess the question would be up to the board as far as what direction do you guys want to try to go with it, and that way we can direct see if it's how feasible it would be for Nicole to do that.
I'd certainly be interested in letting people comment via Zoom. I've done it for the city council meetings at the city of Salinas, that you just via Zoom, that you let them know that you wanted to talk at public comment. So I just kind of sat in a virtual waiting room till they could observe the meeting till I had till it was my turn.
Mr. Patel, what are your thoughts?
Anything we can do to make it more open, I see both benefits. I think the idea of people being able to send in written comments through email allows them time to prepare their information, offers time for them to get it translated, and guarantees that it will be presented at the board meeting. However, I do understand the fact that we still have people who might want to do it live, so hopefully we can have some medium in between the two. But once again, we did move it to the middle of the meeting because a lot of people couldn't get there on time. So I think the answer is within those three.
Okay, so I think it sounds like, yeah, I guess Tim and Nicole, if it's possible to see, I guess what the feasibility of that would be to start incorporating it and see if that's a possibility.
I'll meet with Nicole and then we'll have a report back at the next meeting.
Okay. And I guess the other thing would be finding out, it would be tough to, I guess, for the typing, but maybe, I don't know if through YouTube, there's a way to translate it, I'm not sure what, I guess I'll have to do some research to see what options there is there.
Well, we can certainly reach out to this, I'd say reach out to the city and see, what they're doing. I don't know that they're going to be in much of a mood to help us. So yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll be back and we'll report back at the next board meeting.
Yeah, the Salinas City Elementary School District is doing that. I think they have a phone number you can call. I think the LSL School District is doing that as well. So, just providing that access so they can hear the meeting along.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else as far as the discussion for 9.2, the next item would be future agenda board items.
Mr. President, I did mention during my comment time that I would like to put the resolution on the agenda.
So is that the case? I think, do we want it prepared by 2 members of the board, or would that be something?
I know that other school boards have went ahead and done this already, so I would, maybe look to see what other boards have presented, and maybe have our him look at it and see what he likes, and maybe have us review it beforehand. I'm not sure if necessarily to go into creating a completely original one, but it's up to you.
I put a thing out into the superintendent's chat. Nobody has one yet. They're working on it, but the county supervisors passed one yesterday, so might be able to get a copy of that online too. So we'll get one. I'll get it.
Thank you.
I'll email it to all of you, and you can look it over and then just give me feedback, and we'll put it.
Yeah, Tim, it wasn't a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. So please stay away from any party affiliation and just stick with the simple facts that were laid for president,
Yep.
Thank you about that. I do have one more thing. Hey, Chuck, when you get that big grill, are we gonna roast a whole hog and have a school district-wide barbecue? What are you talking about, brother? You're making promises here. You're getting me excited, and you're promising me these things, and you're getting me all excited. And and nothing's happened.
I'm not gonna make any problem. We will do something. We definitely will have the capacity to do it. I suggest we stay away from pork. We have a strong amount of students who don't eat pork, so we'll do something else though.
We'll get some chicken. Don't worry, we'll get some chicken.
I think what I heard is that Mr. Patel would like to barbecue and deliver for the district staff. I think that sounds like.
Hey, listen, Mr. Sandoval, if they ever let me drive that electric school bus, you got it, buddy. I've asked to drive that thing, and they abandoned me.
You should let him go like 5 feet, and then we can get free food for the district. So that sounds great.
Okay, if there's no other future agenda items, I want to say thank you to everybody. And
sorry, I do have a future agenda item. Sorry.
Okay.
No, we have such amazing staff at the district. I'd love for a future agenda item to find a way to incorporate, maybe on a monthly basis, some recognition for some of our amazing staff across all departments. I think we will need to come up with a plan to make sure, it's being, we're doing equitable acknowledgements, but I'd love to see more spotlights of our different departments. I mean, my daughter goes to Bolsonaro, so I'd love for a nomination process. I'd love for parents to have a place to gloat about their awesome teachers, awesome aides, awesome cafeteria staff. So I'd love for us to recognize all that on an ongoing basis.
I fully concur, my brother. I fully concur.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that as well. Yeah. Is there any other items for the future board agenda items for you? No? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I mentioned just stay safe and be careful, especially all our staff, who essentially are essential workers right now, trying to educate the students in the district office and stuff. We appreciate everybody. So can I get a motion to adjourn at 7:25?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, second by Simon. All those in favor say aye.
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 Yeah, Captain.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.